Okay, so yesterday we talked about signal space analysis and Gram-Schmidt organization. Today we'll be talking about transmission over an additive wide Gaussian noise channel (AWGN) channel. This covers conversion of a continuous AWGN channel into a vector channel, likelihood function, maximum likelihood decoding, correlation receiver, etc. So we'll cover as much as possible. My PPT, I believe, is visible to you. Please tell me if my PPT is visible. All are able to see my PPT? Okay, I think yes. Okay, so why should we convert a continuous AWGN channel into a vector channel? So basically, a communication, I will show you one communication system. So basically, this is a generalized digital communication system. So from the transmitter, we will send a symbol that here is represented as SI of t. So it goes through either an RF channel like mobile channel or a wired channel like in telephony and those kind of things, or Ethernet, LAN, those kind of things. So the transmitted signal is what the transmitter transmits, and then some noise that we represent it as AWGN, additive wide Gaussian noise. This is the combination of all the noises that gets added to the transmitted signal before it reaches the receiver. So the received signal that is actually going to the decision process in the receiver is R of t, that is the sum of transmitted signal SI of t, that is one of the symbols, one of the n possible symbols from the transmitter added with additive wide Gaussian noise. Since the noise is coming from various sources, so it can come from atmospheric sources, then from the processing circuits, the noise can get added from the processing circuits, device noise, all those noise, and that will be Gaussian distributed. That noise will be having a Gaussian distribution. So this is the background. Now we will go to the slide. Okay, so this is called an AWGN channel. So we have a transmitted signal that an additive wide Gaussian noise will be added to this, and that is the signal that we receive at the receiver input. So for the analysis and design of the optimum receiver, so our intention is to find out or analyze or design an optimum receiver for an M-Murray digital communication in the presence of AWGN noise. That is the problem statement. So optimum receiver means a receiver which gives the minimum possible error probability. Because of noise, there will be some error in the detected symbol. So we need to minimize that error. M-Murray means there are m possible symbols. Binary means m is equal to 2 means is a binary. The symbols correspond to 0 and 1. If m equal to 4, that means it has 4 symbols. One symbol corresponds to bit combination 0 0. Other symbol corresponds to bit combination 0 1. Then 1 0 1 1, 4 combinations. So that is called an M-Murray digital communication. Now message signal is one of, as I mentioned, message signal is one of the m possible waveforms from 0 to T0. So each symbol, as we discussed in previous modules, each bit or symbol is converted into a pulse. That pulse, that P of t that we discussed previously, that extends from 0 to T0. That is a finite width pulse. So that pulse will be transmitted for each of the symbol. And for the analysis purpose, for the convenient analysis, we need to represent it in some way. So the easiest and best possible way is to represent these symbols using orthonormal basis functions, or orthonormal basis functions are basically waveforms. How do we generate, how do we find out the orthonormal basis function? Using the Gram-Schmidt orthonormalization process. Then it can easily be detected at the RX if there is no noise. Suppose there is no AWGN noise. So what will we do? The received signal, if you decompose the received signal into the basis functions, you can directly and easily detect the RX. But that is the ideal case. But in actual case, there will be noise. So how do we care about this noise and reduce the error probability? So the idea or the thought process here is that we will decompose the noise also into the same basis functions, that psi1 to psi-n that we discussed yesterday. And those components, so some components will get decomposed, and other components of the noise that is orthogonal to the basis function will simply get removed automatically during this decomposition process. Right? That is an advantage for us. So some noise is automatically eliminated during the decomposition process. So this is the basic concept. So this is called conversion of continuous AWGN. So our physical channel is a continuous AWGN channel, but when we decompose that into our basis functions, we are converting that into a vector. Understood? Okay. I think this is clear. So I'll go to the Is my slides visible now? Okay, but I am not able to see the slides. Okay. So more explanation about this. So transmitted signal, as I mentioned, can be represented using orthogonal basis functions. So let's assume that this is a mathematical or a graphical representation of the vector representation of signals. So psi1, psi2, and psi3 are the basis vectors. So basically these are the basis vectors that we have found out using Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization. And our transmitted symbol, that is Sm of t. So this Sm can be S1, S2, S3, S4 up to Sn. So it can be any of the Sm. Memory means it can be any of the it can be one of the M signals, S1 to Sm. And this psi is number of basis functions, that is n number of basis functions, psi1 to psi2, psi3. So here we have represented a three-dimensional case for this is the maximum thing that we can represent graphically. So it's a three-dimensional signal space. So as I mentioned, received signal is equal to transmitted signal plus the noise. NW of t means it's a additive white Gaussian noise. And again, the using the basis function, what I have written here is S of t, that is the transmitted symbol, is summation of sk component in each of the basis function and multiplied by that basis function. I think that is clear. Here graphically represented, it has in the psi1 the amplitude of this signal, if decomposed into psi1, is am1, and the amplitude or the magnitude into the psi2 basis vector is am2, and the amplitude in the psi3 vector is am3. So here sk basically represent that am1, am2, and am3. So received signal R of t is S of t plus noise. S of t is the transmitted symbol, and N of t is additive white Gaussian noise. It is the combined effect of all random noises from Tx to detector input at Rx. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now, some mathematics. So if we decompose N of t into some basis function, into the same basis function as I mentioned, so our end game intention is to find out an optimum receiver and analyze that and prove that that is the optimum receiver having the lowest probability of detection error. So for the analysis purpose, we'll decompose the additive white Gaussian noise into the same basis function as that of the signals. So R of t is equal to S of t plus NW, the same the additive white Gaussian noise, that we will represent as N of t plus N0 of t, where N of t is the sum of or the linear combination of all the components projected onto the same basis function, same n basis function that we used for the generation of the transmitted symbol. And N0 of t are the orthogonal components. That means the projection of that onto the basis function will be 0 in 0. Got it, right? In other words, N0 of t is NW of t minus N of t. Basically, N0 of t will get eliminated if we decompose. So only the part of noise which are projected onto the basis functions, n basis function, will remain. The remaining noise that are orthogonal to the basis function will vanish. So that is advantageous for us. So what is remaining is S of t plus N of t. N0 of t will vanish. So we will define S of t plus N of t as Q of t. So this is what we have. And we have to find out which symbol is transmitted from this information. Suppose there was no noise, so directly Q of t equal to S of t. So directly we can find out which symbol is transmitted. Q of t is simply equal to transmitted symbol. Here with noise, how do we find out that? Clear? That's what we're trying to do. I'll give you some few minutes to read through the slide. Okay. So we have represented S of t plus n of t by a variable q of t. Hence, we can write it as q of t equal to summation of sj plus nj into psi j of t. How it is done? Summation of n equal to 1 to j equal to 1 to n, that means n basis functions. So sj is the component of that input signal q of t projected onto psi j of t. That is our basis function. So sj into psi j of t, for all summation of sj into psi j of t will give us the signal part, and summation of nj into psi j of t will give us the noise part. So this is the total signal plus noise, and we have eliminated the orthogonal component of the noise. So simply we will write sj plus nj equal to qj. That is so the total amplitude of the projections, that includes signal plus noise components. And how do we do a projection of any signal onto another signal? For example, if you want to project x of t onto y of t, so you have to do a integral of 0 to t x of t into y of t dt. That will give the projection of x of t onto y of t. So that is what we are doing in this figure. So the input signal is coming s of t plus nw of t, that you are multiplying with psi, the basis functions psi 1 of t, psi, these are multipliers, psi 1 of t, psi 2 of t up to psi n of t, n basis functions. So automatically the orthogonal components are removed. So what is remaining is s of t plus n of t, n0 of t is removed. So that multiplication x of the multiplication in this integral is done using this block, and then that is integrated from 0 to t. That is, these blocks are integrated blocks, and you will get q1 to qn. So basically you have the components of signal plus noise projected onto each basis function. These are some magnitude or values. These are not waveforms. These are values. q1 to qn are values, projected values. Now, if you want to generate a q of t, that is from this equation, want to get q of t, right? Basically, our final requirement is to find out the transmitted symbol. So multiply that with again the basis functions, then you will get q of t, that is s of t plus n of t. So this is basically the vector representation of a channel, AWGN channel. Understood? Okay. Now this slide shows from the received symbol. So we got q of t. How do we detect which symbol is transmitted from the transmitter? So So each of the, simply in the vector form, we can write q equal to s plus n. That is the magnitude of these things, q1 to qn. Q1 to qn we represent as a matrix. So these are values of components of the received signal when projected onto each of the basis functions. So we can write it as q equal to s plus n, and here q means it's a column vector of q1, q2, q3 to qn. And in this figure, we just showed a three-dimensional case, and S is S1 to Sn, and n is equal to n1 to nn. This transpose just shows that it is a column vector. And this is n number of independent Gaussian random variable with mean equal to 0 and variance equal to n0/2. This is the standard representation. The two-sided variance is power spectral density. Two-sided power spectral density is n0/2. Now let's see. Let's come to the figure. So this is the final equation of the vector representation of the AWGN channel. Now let's see, some symbol is transmitted. Let's assume it is SK or SJ. We don't know that. And R is the symbol that we received. So what we can do is that if and SK is transmitted and then SK or SJ, one of those is transmitted, and then noise is added. Now by the projection or the orthogonal projection onto the basis function, the orthogonal components of the noise will get cancelled, or it will get vanished. And what we have is only the, so what we'll do is that the received symbol will project into, suppose SK was transmitted and we received R. So sorry, in the other way, the received signal is R. Okay, so R will project into all the psi1, psi2 and psi3. So the component of the received signal R on psi1 is this much, and on psi2 is this much, and on psi3 is this much. Now we will compare that with the transmitted signal. So we'll see which of the SJ or SK is closer to R, is the most close to R, and we'll decide that that symbol is transmitted. So this is how we do the detection at the receiver. So this is called maximum likelihood detection. So I'll give some time for you to read through the slide. Okay. So this is the generalized communication system. Okay, now we'll look into something called likelihood function. Here, this is the generalized communication system. In our baseband system, that means there is no RF conversion. So it is simply transmitted through the shaped pulses are simply transmitted through wires. then this frequency down conversion, equalizing, all those things are not required. So what we simply require is the received signal goes through a receiving filter. That is our that's what we are going to study now. What is that receiving filter? And then output of that goes to a sample. So it will sample the output of the receiving filter at each n into capital T. And based on that, we will make a decision in the threshold detector. This is the case for a binary decision process. So what we are trying to discuss here is likelihood function and the maximum likelihood receiver. So here we can say, write that Z of t is the output of the receiving filter. Just we don't need to think about this frequency down conversion. Just consider that the Z of t is the output of the receiving filter. So Z of t is A1 of t. That means some transmitted symbol plus N0 of t. In the case of binary, it can be A1 of t or A2 of t, because we have only two things. And the probability density function of the noise is again an additive white Gaussian noise, AWGN. What is the PDF of the Gaussian distribution? 1 by root 2 pi sigma e raised to minus x square divided by 2 sigma square. So P of x equal to, so here P of n0, so 1 by root 2 pi sigma of that variable, sigma 0, e raised to, x means e raised to minus x square. That is, here x means n0, n0 square divided by 2 sigma square. So this is the probability distributed density function of Gaussian PDF. So noise is Gaussian. Now, and sigma square is the noise variance. What is that? Sigma 0 square is n0 by 2, two-sided power spectral density. So now what we want to find out from the received signal Z of t is that whether, so what we have at the receiver is Z of t. So we want to find out whether A1 of t is transmitted or A2 of t is transmitted in case of a binary communication system. In case of a memory system, you have to find out whether A1 is transmitted or A2 is transmitted up to AM, like that. So what we'll do is that the probability of Z, that means the received signal Z, given that S1 is transmitted. What is the probability? The same PDF, conditional, this is the conditional probability of Z when S1 is transmitted is 1 by root 2 pi sigma square e raised to minus Z minus A1 divided by sigma square. Similarly, P of Z by S2 is Z minus A2. So here, conditional probability of getting a Z when S1 is transmitted. S1 is transmitted, the magnitude is A1. Here S2 is transmitted, magnitude is A2. So these conditional PDFs are called the likelihood function. So based on this function, we can find out the error probability and we can decide at which threshold we have to detect, using which threshold we have to detect the received signal. So these conditional probabilities are represented by this. So the normal PDF, Gaussian PDF, will be centered around the y-axis. But you see, likelihood function of S1 means probability of received signal given S1 is transmitted. If S1 is transmitted, that means the magnitude of the symbol is S1, my symbol is A1, then logically the probability distribution will shift towards the right, so A1. And if A2 is transmitted, that means probability of Z by S2, probability distribution will be this one. right? And why, if there is no noise, exactly this probability distribution will be a simple line here. So the received value will be a simple line at A1, and here a simple line at A2. Because there is a Gaussian noise, we have a received signal probability distribution like this. Clear? Any doubts? Okay. So the shaded here says that, simply say that probability of error in detecting a symbol S1. So suppose you are making the threshold as this gamma 0, say it is 0. And the transmitted symbol is S1, that means the magnitude of the symbol is A1. With the noise, suppose the received signal becomes somewhere here. The probability, so the total probability of the received signal becoming below the threshold. Threshold is this gamma 0. Below the threshold is the area of this shaded region. So that is our probability of error when the symbol S1 is transmitted. Got it? At the receiver, we are supposed to get the symbol S1, but there is a finite probability, this shaded area, that the noise will make the received symbol magnitude somewhere here. And if we consider gamma 0 as the threshold, then it will be an error in the detection. Instead of detecting it as an S1, it will detect it as an S2. So this is the probability of error in the detection of symbol S1. And these are the maximum likelihood functions of the binary communication system, basically the conditional probability distribution equation. I think it is clear. Now, generally what we do is that all the that is logical also, all the input symbols is assumed to have same probability of occurrence. For example, if it is a binary, 0 and 1 is assumed to have 50% probability of occurrence. So in that case, and suppose A1 and A2 are the magnitude of the symbols transmitted, then the threshold value, the best threshold value is A1 plus A2 by 2. Suppose we transmit digital logical 1 by a 1 volt symbol and logical 0 by a minus 1 volt symbol, the threshold for detection should be -1 plus 1 divided by 2. That is 0 volt. So this is the best threshold value. So generally it is 0. So if it is less than 0, if the detector symbol is less than 0, we say that 0 is transmitted, and if the detector symbol is greater than 0, we say that 1 is transmitted from the transmitter. So this is the maximum likelihood receiver concept. That is what is written here. These are also shared as notes previously. So this likelihood functions shown here is for a binary. If it is an M-ary system, then you will have probability 4 these kind of probability distributions, and from that you have to find out the probability of error, and you have to find out the correct threshold for detection. Suppose n equal to 4, you will have 4 of these kind of distributions. Now the last topic here is correlation receiver. So to detect any transmitted symbol in the presence of AWGN, what we need is, we have found out previously that we need a matched filter. That means suppose a symbol P of t is transmitted, we need a filter with a impulse response of P of capital T minus T. Capital T is the period of the symbol. I think you all know that. Should I show that also? Okay, that I don't have here. So either you can have a filter, directly a filter having an impulse response P of capital T minus T. That is enough. Other way is called correlation receiver. So match filter can also be realized as a correlator. Correlator is a multiplier. So here the received signal is y of t equal to P of t plus n of t. N of t is the noise, P of t is the transmitted pulse. So you multiply that with P of t and then integrate that. That is R of t. So at t equal to, and at each t equal to t0, or t0 is t, at each of the n t, we will sample the output, sample the value of R of t, and then based on that, if that is greater than 0, we'll say that, or greater than the threshold value, we'll say that symbol 1 is transmitted, and if it is less than 0, we'll say that symbol 0 is transmitted. So here R of t0 or tr of capital T equal to integral 0 to t0, it will do that integration, y of x into, or y of t into P of t, P of x dx. Basically, what is this? This is, the right hand side is the nothing but the cross correlation between the received signal and the P of t. Correlation means it find out the similarity of two signals. Now what we are going to prove is that this is equivalent to simply putting a match filter here. So this is practically, this correlation receiver is practically done generally instead of the matched filter kind of receiver. So this will implement, this is the actual practical implementation of a matched filter receiver. So let's prove that this structure will work as a matched filter, or this will do the work of a matched filter. So R of t is so for a matched filter, what is required? Output of a matched filter is R of t equal to integral minus infinity. In other words, in our case, it is 0 to t minus infinity y of x into h of t minus x dx, where this is the case of a match filter. Now we'll derive that what will happen. We will proceed from here, and we say that This is exactly what is done by our correlation receiver. So in a matched filter case, R of t equal to y of x into h of t minus x. This is the convolution. This is the transfer function. H of t has to be p of t0 minus t, right? So this is the convolution, and h of t has to be, this is the matched filter transfer function, and h of t minus x equal to p of, just substitution, t0 minus t minus x, p of x plus t0 minus t. Just read through it and understand yourself. This is just a substitution. And we say that whatever is done by matched filter is done by the correlation receiver also. Okay. So R of t equal to, just again substitution, R of t equal to integral minus infinity to infinity y of x into p of x plus t0 minus x. At the decision making instant, as I mentioned, we'll make a decision, we'll sample this output R of t at each integer multiple of the time period t, pulse period t, and t. So at t0, what is the value of, that is what we are interested. So R of t0 equal to, just substitute t equal to t0 here. So it will be y of x into p of x dx. So R, and since our pulse duration is from 0 to t0, this is the general equation. Pulse duration is from 0 to t0. We simply say that R of t0 equal to integral 0 to t0 y of x into p of x dx. This is exactly integral cross correlation. This is exactly what we are doing here in the correlation receiver. This is what we got. So we started with a matched filter, and that matched filter is implemented using a correlation, because implementing things using this multiplier and this kind of an arrangement is is the practical one. So this is the last topic in that module. Maximum likelihood decoding and correlation receiver. So if in the exam, if they ask about the correlation receiver, you may need to draw this structure. You have to draw this structure and write down this derivation. Start from a matched filter, say that this is the transfer function required for a matched filter, and then substitute this and say that this can be implemented using this equation, that is that structure. With this, I think I will wind up the class. Any questions or doubts? Can you hear me? Okay, so with this, I'm winding up the class today. So there is no homework for today, but I think you would have done the homework that I have given yesterday. Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization, that will be required. That will be useful for from exam point of view. Okay.